And now, one of the highlights of tonight's program is the educational segment, the educational headliner. Tyree Johnson, who is the past district governor and DTM, is going to give us this section. He has been paying Toastmasters. He's been paying Toastmasters dues since 2001, which he considers money well spent. Currently, he starts his week promptly at 7 a.m. Monday mornings with esteemed Oakland 88 Toastmasters. He's also the president of Toastmasters Leadership Club and VP Education of Laugh Lovers Toastmasters. You are invited to join him at one or all the 3 clubs in District 57, Pacific Standard Time. Tyree is twice DTM. Is a twice DTM, a past District 57 governor in 2007 to 2008, and the recipient of multiple Toastmasters Award for his service, including District 57, 2015 Toastmaster of the Year, and 2017 Toastmaster International President Citation. Tyree admires the words of William Shakespeare, who said, "Laughing at your own mistakes can lengthen your life." However, he finds wisdom in the words, "Laughing at your wife's mistakes can shorten your life." This is by Shakespeare's wife. Please welcome your humor contributor, Tyree Johnson, as he presents the humerator role and why you should butter it up.
All right. Okay, let's get off to a good start and get this on the right roll. And I want to thank Sue for being the master behind the scenes and making this seem appropriate for all of you. The Laugh Lovers Humerator role, which I believe you call your detector role, but it's a role. So why should you butter it up? It should be something that in this meeting in particular should be of utmost importance so that you can find your funny. Next slide. So the question is, what are you doing here? And I think I asked some of you that before, but I'm going to answer that for you. As members and interested guests of this club, Find Your Funny, you're doing your best to adhere to the Toastmasters promise. That is to prepare all your projects to the best of your ability based on the Toastmasters education program. It is to prepare for and fulfill all your meeting assignments. And it is to provide your fellow members with helpful, constructive evaluations. But the missing ingredient is, at each one of these phrases should be to find humor, to use humor. So in all of your projects, use humor, find it, integrate it, use it to connect with your members. For all your assignments, whether you're the timer, you're the grammarian, you're an evaluator, this is an opportunity for you to use humor to find it. They help your fellow members to have better speeches, better presentations with humor. So for some of you analytical types, when you hear this question, I want to make sure that I'm answering it appropriately. So first, I could say, why are you here? Next, I could just say, why are you here? To make it personal, and is, why are you here? And then it's just a matter of timing this. Why are you here? So when you ask these questions, the basic response is, I don't know. the real response from me is, I don't care. Honestly, I do care. I care because I want to see each one of you thrive beyond compare and use humor to get there. Part of my motivation comes from having the distinction to have the longest paying dues member in my club, Laugh Lovers. Now, I hope that someone will supersede me, and at this club, with Find Your Funny, I hope there are people who will be here eons to come. And if not, it may be on your tombstone. And I just want to say, next slide, please, that for some of you, unfortunately, you may remain humorless until your dying day. And to that end, I can only say, I'll try a little better for your eulogy. You can put it on your tombstone to say, yes, it may be your diploma, but only if you get a decent evaluator for your next Toastmaster meeting. Next slide, please. Mark Twain said, laughter is the greatest weapon we have, and as humans, we can use it the least. He also said that humor is tragedy plus time. It is mankind's greatest blessing. And I would impart upon all of you that it is one of the great connectors in any of your speeches. So humor is truly an elixir. And I share that from a strong Toastmaster that I know here in the Bay Area. He spoke it at this club too, Ray Egan, who says that it is something that we can use the 4 C's. I want to give him credit for it because I don't know, I can't afford his royalties. But he says you find humor in your content, in the characters, and that is in all the objects, both animate and inanimate. Your content is in your personal stories. In your communication, that is your voice, pitch, tone, rate, and your connection. And that is where I want to make the emphasis for today's presentation on the humerator role. Acknowledging your audience by checking in with a lot of the various types of humor techniques that I'm going to go through, using callbacks and referring to these other 3 C's of the elixir of humor. Again, referring to your stories in a personal way, having objects that can be humorous, or at least you can throw your message onto them and have them reflect back to the audience. And always use your voice and gestures, even in this virtual environment. Next slide. So are you fearful of finding your funny? Well, self-confidence is the key. And as you can see from my image here, this guy has all the confidence in the world. He's off the charts. I wouldn't say that you need to go there, but you can make that first step by using the tools that I want to present to you in the humerator role. Next slide. Now, I'll start by showing you where some people just get off in the wrong foot, and that is when they look at who's presenting, they already make a first impression. So I want you to look at the gentleman on the left. He seems to be holding the world afloat in his left hand. His name is Randy Ellington, and he's a past district director here in 57. Very good Toastmaster friend of mine, although I would qualify good because nothing, and I mean nothing, irritates Randy more than being called by my name. I get a chuckle out of it if anyone addresses Randy as Tyree, and I get even more laughs when the waitress gives him the bar tab, but that's another story. But what I want to say next slide, please, is that I have to ponder that statement that if people are trying to connect whoever they see, I really want to be sure they see who you are and not some image that you may think. So the person on the left is another member of my club by the name of Jerome Taylor. Now, Jerome gets plenty of laughs all the time. But where it really becomes disturbing is during Black History Month, people thought I was him. And I said, reason I wore my hat today is in honor of Tom the Hat Man. But I have to say that with this bald dome, these glasses, and a lack of facial hair, I can't see how we could have been. But that is needless to say that he is one of the epitomes of what I call a laughing stock, because he has found his funny, his delivery point, and most importantly, with that stoic look, he can deliver dry humor at any time and not be taken from me. Now, of course, he's recently married, a sign of virility that he just has a young son and a beautiful wife. And you couldn't substitute him for me because I'm 0 for 539 on Tinder dates. Now, this last person that I just wanted to make sure that you're aware of is a guy by the name of Jim Doyle. Now, Jim is so funny that he doesn't want his face to be seen anywhere. Only you know him by his vocal variety, his delivery with gestures, and everything from the neck down. I believe that he can be funny, but he does a very good job of accomplishing that. And I have to say, there's going to be an audience that I'd like to try that with virtually. But until that point, you're stuck with me in this form or fashion. But let's get down to the nitty gritty. Next slide, please. The Humerator Report. Why is it called the Humerator Report? Well, I have to tell you, it came to me in a dream. The raindrops fell on my head. They opened my eyes, and I realized there was a leak in my roof. But more importantly, the idea of the Humerator role is something that we call the hits and misses of humor that can occur throughout your entire meeting. And I'm going to share some of those on the screen. Next slide. So in the Humerator Report, you want to look for each one of these instances of humor. You can say that, and Toastmasters, we're familiar with the triple comedy, things come in threes. Three husbands are sharing stories about arguments with their wife. One says, she threw me out of bed. The second one says, she threw me out the house. The third one said she kept crawling on her hands and knees, said, get out from under the bed and stand up like a man. Always use zingers. For example, they told me they have enough free weights at the gym, so I took some. Exaggeration is always a great way to bring humor into it. At any point in time, again, the example is, my wife told me that a shaved head made me look younger, and she was right. Now I look like a baby. You can go through the rest of them, but my favorite is the multi-step joke, because it keeps the audience engaged. And I just want you to follow along with my example. Why did the monkey fall out the tree? Because it was dead. Why did the second monkey fall out the tree? It was hanging out with the first monkey. Why did the third monkey fall out the tree? He thought it was a game. So why did the fourth monkey fall out the tree? Obviously, peer pressure. But the fifth step is, why did the fifth monkey fall out the tree? You should know this. Monkey see, monkey do. But there's the payoff for your audience. And that's what I really want you all to really remember for using the humorators. There's always a payoff to the audience. Next slide. So this is the report that came across in a meeting we had back last year in June. And you can see here that these were different statements that were made. Some of them were that just simple statements. Nowhere is it written to tell the truth. But the reverse is, nor is the truth something I rarely write. Every statement has a way to have an implication to find humor for this. And so with that, I want to bring this to a close by saying I implore you to find the light of laughter in every shadow, in every word, in every sentence that you give, in every speech. That there's a hit and a miss. There's a mirror, a light, and a shadow. And that as the evaluator, the humorator is to bring to light those opportunities that made people laugh and bring out of the shadows those opportunities that were missed. I encourage, find your funny. 2, use the humorator role to enlighten everyone with the light of humor. Mr. Toastmaster, if there's any time, I'll take some questions or comments.
How about we have a couple of questions, if someone has? Anyone with any questions?
I'll throw one at you.
Yeah, Terry and Tom Hobbs.
Go ahead, Terry.
Okay, Tyree, in the humorator role, or as we call it, the humor detector, I often find it hard to think on my feet of the few times I've tried it to come up with either a way to improve. Sometimes it's very easy to spot humor, but it's often very hard to see how to spot a missed joke. Do you have any advice for that?
Yes, and I would say, thank you, Terry, is with this report, you see a list of examples of different ways for every statement that could either be in reverse. And so it takes a mindset. It doesn't necessarily come easy for those of us who aren't naturally funny, okay? But when you start looking at each one of those techniques, how could someone build a multi-step joke off with just that one statement? How can you do a reversal, right? And so you may not get it all, but I guarantee you there'll be enough that will come to mind as you embrace this role, all right? And I will definitely say, be gracious with yourself, be gentle with yourself, even if your audience isn't, all right? But this club is where you can learn. Tom or anybody else?
I think Terry hit my main
go
thought. Charlotte.
Is there a way to get a copy of the list that you have of the different types of humor? Because, you know, we didn't go over everything, just a few of them, and I'd like to look at that in more detail. Maybe
Yes,
via
Charlotte.
email.
Yes, Charlotte. My Cash App is Tyree Johnson at, Charlotte, you really writing it down?
Yes. You got me. You got me.
Zelle is cheaper. Zelle is cheaper.
Yes, Zelle is cheaper. But with that, I gladly will share this with the office, with Marjane and Tom, with this club. If you find this valuable.
I'll forward it.
But Charlotte, you and I can talk offline. I have some other opportunities for you. Any
Thank
other questions? And first, before I close, thank you so much, Sue, for driving this process. I really appreciate it. It would not have been anywhere near as fun without your help. Melanie.
You have a question.
Yeah, I was just thinking, for a person who's never done the role before, where would you kind of start just to get like just on the beginning part of the ladder?
As the saying goes, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with your first step. Try it, okay? And if you're a member of this club, or you can come to Laugh Lovers, this is the place where we want you to try, right? And Tom knows this, and Marjana, and Sue Schultz has been to our meeting. We try to just inundate everything with humor, all right? Everything, from start to finish. And I have to say, you'll see a lot more spontaneity when you're live, but even here, that you can take just by every sentence and use a reversal to find humor. So just get started. That's all I can tell you. And in your report, what can happen is someone else may be able to contribute in the chat of a hit and a miss. So in the role, particularly if you're starting, ask others to contribute to what they thought was a hit and a miss as well, and put that in the report.
Thank you, Tyree. That was
All right.
a very, very useful, educational for us, and we have learned a lot, and I'm sure our members will actually try to put a lot of the learnings in practice and from here onwards. So thank you very much for telling us all about this road.
Thank you. Happy Mother's Day to all of you who were born of mothers, even if you were still in the wolf pack. She didn't leave you alone. She left you with some brothers and sisters to get you through the world. All right. And one last thing, I will, because Tom and Marjane know this, all of you are invited to, on other Sundays, to come to Laugh Lovers online. I'll make sure that you have the Zoom. It'd be kind of late for you guys. It'd be 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, but we have one event every year that I want to make sure you guys, and that is what we call the joke off. Make sure you enunciate that slowly and keep your mind out of the gutter. It's called, look at Sue laughing. It's called the joke off. And it's the day after April Fool's Day. You're all welcome. And with that, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you,